All right, hello everyone, and thank you for tuning in for another Authors Impact Hub Q&A. So we've been going really strong with the author Q&As all over the US. I've been speaking with some amazing authors, sharing about their author journey and their books. So before, because I always do this, right? So before we get into all of that, so I am your host for those who are watching, like, who is this lady? I am your host, Juanita Woodson, founder of the Authors Impact Hub community, and tonight we have one of our community members on with us. So I always let the authors do their own intros, right? Introduce yourself because I don't think that anybody can tell who you are better than yourself. So tonight we have on with us Saniyah Baker-Boatwright. I hope I said that right. So I'm gonna pass the
Yes,
floor to you.
yes, no, you did a great job. Thank you, because a lot of people do butcher my name, but thank you.
Me
But
too.
no, seriously, Juanita, thank you so much for this opportunity. I really do appreciate it, and the works that you're doing is amazing too. From the YouTube channel to the Facebook group and everything. And if you haven't gotten already, I know this conversation is supposed to be about me, but girl, that book Don't Go That Way. Oh
Oh
my
goodness.
God. Phew. Okay, so yeah, y'all can see I talk a lot. Okay, so about me. My name is Saniyah Baker-Boatwright, and my name meaning is beautiful and exalted by God. I am 25 years old. I am an entrepreneur. I wear many hats. I'm really just a servant of God. Like, so wherever my family or friends need me, that's where I be. Or if my church family need me, that's where I be. So I just a very chill person, love to just lounge around, watch movies, watch TV, hang out with family and friends, and just have a good time. Oh, and I can't forget the most important, eat.
We can't forget that, right? Yes. I love it. I love all of that. So I'm excited to learn more about your journey as an author. You said you are an authorpreneur, so I love that already. So tell us a little bit about the books that we are going to be discussing tonight. What are the titles of those books?
Yes. So my first book here is titled That Girl Who. Oops, sorry, y'all. Yeah, there we go. I had to put it on me. That Girl Who. And then my other one is How to Keep a Strong Bond with Your Sister.
Okay. I
And
love.
so with That Girl Who, I pretty much the reason why I got into that book is because 2019 I pretty much lost my job and I was like, Lord, what is my purpose? What do I need to do? And so I remember like back in 2017 in high school, I was just sitting around a group of friends and everybody was talking about what they were going to do. And so one of my things was being an author. And he was like, girl, you don't even have to go to school for that. And I was like, I know, but I still want to go to school because I want to do business management. Long story short, that's how I end up doing That Girl.
Yes, I love that. Okay. So what was the inspiration behind the title of the book and what the book is about?
Yeah, so That Girl Who is pretty much literally that question. Like, who is the main character, which is Diana? Like, what is she about? Like, what is her, what's going on here in her life? What is so much about her that makes her that girl? You
Okay.
know? And so with That Girl Who, it's about a pretty much a young woman just coming to learn how to live her life unapologetically, weathering some storms, going from homelessness to suicidal thoughts. And she's just trying to figure out how is she's going to face everything.
Okay. So that is a fiction book.
Well, actually, it's loosely based on a true story. So some of the
Okay.
things that has went on in the book, I did go through as the main character, Diana. And so, of course, some things are fiction because at that point in time in my life, it was like for one, I was new to writing a book, so that was my very first book. I'm like, I don't know, like I know how I wanted it to begin, but then I was having trouble trying to figure out the edit, and I'm like, I don't even really know myself like that. So, like, how I'm going to end this book, or what should I do? So,
Oh,
yeah.
so question, did you learn a little bit more about yourself after the book was done?
I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself. I mean, still learning to this day. I mean, glory be to God. But so much as far as the journey itself is really what shaped me. And I appreciate the journey because, of course, the journeys were ups and downs. Like with that main character, Diana, she is going through a lot. And that's pretty much how my life was. And I had to get used to feeling comfortable sharing my testimony And so that book really healed me in a lot of ways. And like you said, it really did make me know myself and appreciate myself more and not be so hard on myself. Cause I used to be, like, okay, now you got to do this. You need to
Yeah.
make sure this is done by this time. And, you try to be perfect, as they say.
Right.
But
Right.
then, we serve a perfect God, but we would never be perfect. So I was just like, okay, but I really appreciate that book because it definitely healed me a lot.
Yes, yes, I love that. I can't wait to talk a little bit more about it, but I don't want to forget that you do have another book as well. So, what is the title of that book again? And then, what was the meaning of that book or the reason that you wrote it?
Yeah, so how to keep a strong bond with your sister? It's pretty much self-explanatory. Literally, mending a bond with your sister, whether you start from scratch or you actually mending it. And how that book came about, me and my sister, we was in our room at the time, and we was pretty much just talking about life, just talking about anything and everything. And we was like, what projects can we work on together? And we both looked at each other and we was like, I said book. And then she said, you want to write a book together, don't it? Because she already knew I had my first one. And so I was like, yes, we should write a book. And so that's how that came about. And then not only that, like growing up in life, a lot of my friends would ask, Naya, why do you why do you do what you do for your brother and sister? Like not even just for my sister, but my brother as well, because I also have a brother. I have other brothers on my dad's side. But for
Okay.
this specific brother, living under my mom's house, they're like, why do you do so much for your siblings? And I was like, well, I was raised off of
Yeah.
love. I was raised that if something happens to mama, y'all need to be getting along. You know what I'm saying? So that love, I wanted the world to know. I wanted sisters to know, like, you can have a loving relationship with your sister, but it's all about putting that work in. It's like I say all the time, with any type of relationship for that matter, it's like putting some furniture in your home. If I got one end of the couch, then you should have the other end of the couch, right? So that
Oh,
it can work. And so that's how that came about.
yes, absolutely. I love that. And I know when you started to introduce yourself, excuse me, you talked about your faith, right? So, how did your faith play a journey in writing your books?
Oh my goodness. Now, taking it back to the first one, that's a really good question. Taking it back to the first one, I was pretty much unhealed when I wrote that book. I wouldn't say, a lot of people are like, oh, maybe she wrote it out of anger. No, I did not write it out of anger because I knew it was a story that meant to be told, but I just didn't understand why. But now after I didn't written the book, it's like, oh, okay, a lot of that makes sense
Yeah.
because of the things that I have gone through in my life, it increased my faith. And
Yeah.
then not only that, like the trials that Diana has gone through and I have gone too, I have overcame those. And so that's why I say that book healed me because at the time, although I wasn't healed, it was still healing other people through my brokenness. And so,
Absolutely.
a lot of times you hear that cliche, don't do anything out of your brokenness.
Yeah.
And I can understand why. I really do. And I have learned from that. Because I mean, truth be told, it may be some stuff I should have kept to myself. But at the same time, I know I have a God that covers, right? And he shields. And so with doing that book, it really increased my faith and let me know that, girl, you didn't wrote that book at a time of healing, and now you're actually healed years later. You're good. You know what I'm saying? Like if you wrote that book during that time, then you can still be able to get through whatever you're going through now. So it's pretty much just a stage of, even though, because we're always going through something in life, but it's the point of you can be able to get through.
Yes, absolutely. And getting through one season of your life that feels hard, understanding that you got through it, it gives you that evidence, right? It gives you the evidence that I got through that. I can get through the next thing. And Joy, I'm gonna give a shout out to Joy Westphalo, right? So one
Yes.
thing that she says, and I absolutely love it, she says, if I got through it, you can get through it too. And I think it is a testament to us sharing our own testimonies because it
Absolutely.
can encourage somebody else that they are able to get through it too.
Yeah, I agree. Especially that's why one of my favorite scriptures is Revelations 12:11. If I'm not mistaken, we overcome by the blood of the testimony and so forth.
Yes.
Yes, yeah. Testimony is very important.
Absolutely. So did it help you with using a different name or a different character to write the book? Because it's kind of a fiction book, but you're infusing your own personal things in there? Did it make that process, the writing process, a little bit easier?
I would think so, just because of the simple fact that, like, navigating what Diana is going through, by the simple fact of, since I knew what I was writing about and I knew that a lot of this stuff was going to hit close to home, it was easier to fall in line. But I mean, some things, like I said, since I wrote that in a place of unhealing and, being the age that I was at that time, a lot of things wasn't clear to me as it is clear to me now. I got a lot of more knowledge, a lot of more wisdom, a lot of more clarity. So, but it was easier for the most part.
Awesome. Yeah. So what were some of the challenges that you did face like through your writing process for both of your books?
For both of my books, I would say with That Girl Who, it was pretty much just the fact of, okay, do you really want to put all of this in a book? You know what I'm saying? Because it can get quite intimidating, of your story. But I really just had to let that go, especially with the space that I am in now. And then with the second book, I don't really think there was any challenges per se. Well, no, let me backtrack. There was a challenge. I wouldn't say really necessarily with writing a book, but it was more so the fact of what you're writing about. And I don't think that the world really understands sometimes a lot of what us authors go through to actually get a book published. There's a lot
Yeah.
of stuff that happens in the background. And
Yeah.
so with that book, although it was a great book, it's a phenomenal book. And I know that this book was going to touch the world, but it was some spiritual warfare that was connected to that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I told my sister, I said, when we write this book, like, it could cause some friction, not because of what's in the book, but when you're literally working for the kingdom of God,
Yeah.
the darkness don't like that. And so
Exactly.
I had to be the leader of my siblingship and be like, okay, whatever happened, we getting this book published, and whatever happened after the book, we still sticking together as sisters.
Right. So we still siblings at the end of the day. Book or no book, we still.
Right. Absolutely.
Yes, I love that. So how did y'all navigate, right? How did you, because I know whenever you're doing a collaboration project, whether it's with one person or like 10, 15 people, you can bump heads a little bit, right? Because you're working with multiple personalities, you're working with multiple schedules. So how did you all navigate
Yeah.
those challenges?
I would say we really just did it. Like, we just made it work. And I think because of the fact that I am the oldest between me and my sister, excuse me. And so it was easier just to be like, okay, this is what I'm thinking, but I still didn't take that as an advantage. Like, I could call my sister up right now. She gonna be like, yeah, Naya runs everything by me from the marketing to, oh, we going to this vendor event together. Do you
Yeah.
want to go? Or you know what I'm saying? You okay? Should I do this one by myself? Like, so we both just really, our teamwork is impeccable pretty much. So we just really made it happen. And we was able to really just work around each other's schedule. So whatever downtime we had, it was just like, okay, this is the chapter. We're gonna write about this. Okay, what you think? Do you think we need to add anything? Do you think we need to? Are we missing anything? And so again, with like any project, I wholeheartedly feel like two heads is always better than one. So it was a
Absolutely.
blessing to be able to work with my sister. I love working with her.
Absolutely. That's amazing. And that's something that you all will always have together, right? We published a book together so you
Yeah,
can share in that experience and then also pour into other siblings, right? Pour into them, other sisters, the importance of that sisterhood, that bond.
right.
There, there's nothing like it, right? I feel for people who don't have a sister, right? That
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, I feel for them. So I think that's amazing to be able to take your journey and then share with the world. So how do you balance, right? Because I know in life, especially as women, we wear a lot of hats. So how do you balance being an entrepreneur, mentoring, serving in your church, helping your family, all the things? How do you balance it?
I balance it really just by saying no sometimes. Like, and I had to really chin check my own self about that. Like, I think sometimes we can be in denial. And what I mean by being in denial, like sometimes we can be a people pleaser. And it's like, okay, you know what? Let me breathe, let me, woosah, and let me reorganize. And I would think also, I mean, not think, I would also say having a planner is really what helps keep me focused because it's like, okay, I do mine's weekly. You know, whoever watching, you can do yours monthly, yearly, however you see fit for your schedule. And I just do mine's weekly. And so from this point in time, I'm doing this. You know, if I can put a little break in there, I would. But most of the time, I just really try to stick to that. You know, and some people call like, "Oh, Naya, can you do this for me?" I'm sorry, but I cannot. Like, I just
And
have to
not
get
this
to
week.
it. Yeah, not this week. Maybe next week. Yeah.
I love that. And it's important though, right? Because you can't pour from an empty cup. And
Ooh, right.
sometimes we do, we're like just pouring and pouring and pouring. But you have to make sure that you give that space to yourself to rest and reset. That's very important. But also to make sure anything that you do, you show up and you're 100% there, right? But if you're being pulled in like a million different directions and you're not really in one place, then nothing is going to really work, right?
You are absolutely right. Seriously, I tell people that all the time. Like, you want to pour, but have you looked in your cup to see what you have to pour? Don't even try to pour from an empty cup. You need to make sure your cup is
Yeah.
full and just let people get the residue of the overflow. That way, you know you have enough left for yourself.
Exactly. Yes. I love that. Yes. So, how do you connect with your readers, right? As an entrepreneur, let me ask the question this way, right? What's one thing that you have learned that's worked for you as an entrepreneur, and what has not worked for you?
Yeah. I would say what has worked for me pretty much is just we live in a technology world, right? And so social media, although you know they talk about banning TikTok, this and that, blah blah blah. But I pretty much just get out in the field and I look on social media and I see what young adults are having problems in or what people are having problems in general. And I'm like, okay, you know what? God, do you want me to work on this? Because I think I have a solution for that. And
Yeah,
so that's how I'm able to navigate to see, you know, what I need to be writing about. Because honestly, there was a third book that I was supposed to come out with, but then I was hearing, pull it back, not yet, not time. And then when I realized what my title was, I said, oh, I see why you wanted me to wait. So God's timing is the best.
absolutely. Yes. I love that. I love that. So, what's one piece of advice that you can give to someone who's thinking about writing a book, sharing something personal, and they're just like hesitant? What would you tell them?
Yeah, well, I would tell them first pray about it. First pray about it and see, you know, if you should. And then even if you do get that green light from God, I would ask him, you know, along your journey of doing your outline, okay, Lord, is there any information I should withheld held back? You know, because some information you may, you know, the world don't need to know. Maybe that's just something that you and God it should be knowing. And so, yeah, I would just say pray about that thing. And if he give you the green light, go for it. Like, don't let anybody stop you. Don't let any friends or family members talk you out of doing it because at the end of the day, your testimony is your testimony. You know what I'm saying? Whoever played the villain, the victim in it, that's just so be it. You know, if you don't want to be the villain in somebody's story, don't be the villain.
That's what I
You know, seriously. And I mean, a lot of times I think people just be afraid to say ouch instead of saying amen, you know. And so I would just say do that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So have you had to navigate any of those moments where someone felt like in your books like, "Oh, she's talking about me." Have you had to navigate that?
Of course, of course. You know, word gets around town. Like, oh, now you got a book out. You know, what is she talking about in there? Is this book about such and such? Is this book about his or her? But I pretty much just navigated knowing how, you know, certain people are in your family.
Mhm.
You have to come to a point where it doesn't bother you because again, I'm on a journey for Christ. I can't worry about what part you played in the story or how you may feel about it because at the end of the day, it's my truth. And I get that, you know, some people, it's just for some people, they feel bad that they played the villain. Some
Yeah.
people, they just feel bad that they're getting exposed because they're playing the villain.
Right.
And so whatever cards may lay, they just may lay. But I just really don't feed into it because I know my truth. And the thing about it is God sees the truth, you know, and for the people that say, oh, that didn't happen or this didn't happen, it's the truth. And they know it's the truth. And you can't argue with the truth. And I won't because I know that God will, you know what I'm saying, cover everything that I said. And not only that, when you just a child of God, you just favored like that. So
Yeah.
it just is what it is. But yeah.
I absolutely love that. And the reason I asked that question, not to be nosy, but just because
Most
sometimes people are afraid to share their testimony and share their
right.
story because they, of how other people may perceive them or how people may feel, right, after reading their book and thinking that it's about them. So I think
Exactly.
it's an important question to ask, like, how did you navigate through that?
Yeah. No, I did. But yeah, I just really moved how I moved and didn't pretty much put any sense into it because at the end of the day, I knew the truth of my story.
Right, absolutely. And that's important, right? Because you can help somebody else, right? It's not always about trying to make someone else look bad.
Look bad. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
about sharing the testimony so that someone else can read it and say, hey, maybe I'm in this type of situation right now. These are ways that I can navigate and get out of these situations and heal from it. So, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you because a lot of times we go through stuff, right? And we be trying to figure out like, am I the only person that's going through this? And see,
Right.
if we don't speak our testimony, that's how like a lot of people is not knowing, like, well, I don't think nobody else going through this. I'm gonna just be quiet.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, what's been like the most rewarding thing for you as an author? The most rewarding experience?
I would say the most rewarding experience is really just for people to come back and telling me, like, girl, your book really made me get closer to God. I really like, although I understand what they saying, but sometimes it really just like it just be a spirit of moment where it hits me like, wow, that book really made you get closer to God. Like I'm
Right.
so it's surprising to me every time because it's just like, wow, the power of your testimony is just it's so powerful like that. And I'm just glad that it is a blessing for other people and for them to get their walk right with God, or for those that may not even know God, like, okay, you know what? She done went through a lot of stuff. And
Mhm.
so, like Joy said, big shout out to Joy. You know, if I got through it, then if she got through it, then I can too.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, I love that. So, are there any upcoming projects or books? So, I know you said there was a book number three, but you put a pause on that. So, what can we be looking out for from you in the future?
Yes, so it is quite a few things that I can't speak on as of right now, just due to how God be. He be like, shut it, shut it. But no, I can say this baby is out.
Yeah.
Woo! So my third book is out now, and it's called "Have You Talked to Your Father Today? Understanding God's Glory: The 365-Day Devotional." So
Yeah.
I am super, super excited about that. And it's so crazy because, like I said, God is a God of order. And it made sense why He made me put a pause on that third book and why the number three was so special to me this year. Like, He literally had me to change my plans. Like we always say, show God your plans. He laughed. But because His plans is is far better. And so when I got the desire in my heart to write the devotional, I was like, oh my God, like I really was about to get ready to forfeit a whole blessing out here, and just think about, if I was to disobey, oh, I'm gonna go ahead, Lord. I already got this book written out. Like everything to a T
Right.
is
Absolutely.
done. It for some people it would have been common sense, like, let me go ahead and write this book. But for me, it
Because
was
it's
like, nah,
done. Right.
obedience is better than sacrifice. Let me get this devotional done.
Absolutely. I love that. So, what was the inspiration behind the devotional?
The inspiration behind the devotional is really tapping into my own faith this year. So this year I was reborn again. I rededicated my life to God. I felt like I needed to get into a new covenant with Him, and everything that had transpired throughout my life. I was staying with my grandmother. That was, a difficult time for me with the relationship that we had. I still love her. I still wish her the best. But after that, I was like, okay, Lord, I really need some help because now I am out here on my own. I'm living on my own. So what it is that I need to do. And of course I have my mom. Thank God to my mom. Thank God to my mom. But I was like, Lord, what is it? And so having that desire of that book, I really feel like it was a segue for me to rise up other
Yeah.
young adults that is coming behind me or right alongside of me that need help with their walk. And there's so many young adults that is giving their life to God right now, or it's some young adults that's on the verge of like, oh, I don't really want to give my life to God. He's angry at me, or I really don't know much about God, or maybe I was raised up talking about God, or grew up in the church and stuff like that, but I kind of disarrayed. And so I feel like, God has pretty much led me to, like, okay, this is for the young adults. It's time for y'all to rise up. So it's a lot of young adults that's giving their life back to God, and I just want to be the vessel that God uses to be like, okay, you doing your thing. That's why I like picking back up earlier what you said of filling your cup. It makes sense now why a lot of young adults come to be like, oh, can you pray for me? Or I had this question, I had that question. I'm able to fill their cup up because of the fact that I'm in my word. I'm praying and interceding and stuff like that. So that's how
Yeah.
this devotional came about.
I love that, and congrats on the new book. So you have 3 books.
Yes, yes, surprise.
So congratulations on
Thank
that.
you.
So where do you see your entrepreneur journey taking you in the next 5 years?
Where I see me taking it, I see more books, of course. I see movies.
Yeah,
I see TV shows. I see a lot. And just to wrap that up, I'll just say I see God blowing my mind.
I love that.
Yeah,
Yes, absolutely. So we can't I don't know how you can go past that. God blowing your mind.
right. That's why I said I'll just stop it right there because yeah.
Yes, yes. So we'll jump to that next question. I always ask the authors that are on. And I think this is such a special question because when we start to think about the work that we're doing and we start to think about our purpose, right? And what God is requiring from us, what impact do you want your books and your author brand, your author journey to leave on the world?
Yeah, so I want to leave an impact of being the overcomer. I
Yeah.
want folks to know that, like, man, that girl was a go getter for God. Like, she served God with all her heart. I mean, literally, her heart, her mind, her body, her soul, everything. And also, just the fact that if God overcame the world, then we can too. So, I love seeing people win. I love seeing the lost be found. That's my main focus. Like, you don't have to live in a world of it not being fun. A lot of times they say that being in Christ's world is not fun. It's fun over here. It's far better peace over here. It's far better joy over here. I mean, I could go on and on, but I'm not trying to preach out here.
I understand though. I get it.
Yes.
They say the peace that passes surpasses all understanding, right?
Hello.
I get that. And you can only get it one way. Because I know that this generation, the world that we live in now, everybody is so big on like finding peace and keeping peace and cultivating peace. But it's
Yeah.
only one person who can really give us just that everlasting peace
Everlasting
that we
peace.
can not understand or even comprehend. Yes,
Yeah.
love that.
The
Yes.
peace that the world can't give or take away. Yeah.
I love that. Absolutely. So how can we connect with you on social media and how can we purchase your books as well?
Yes, so you can follow me on all of my platforms. That's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all at Author Saniyah, and that's AuthorSaniyaH. Because I know a lot of people sometimes they spell Saniyah every kind of way. And then also you can look for my book on Amazon, and you can also look on my website, and that's www.sbbtheboat.com. I'm sorry, but boat is spelled different. It's BAOAT. BAOAT. So SBBtheboat.com. Boat just stands for best author of all time.
I love that. Yes. Talk about it.
Yes.
Speak on it. I love that. Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you so much for bringing your light, right? The
Yeah.
light that shines that I cannot even explain, but I've enjoyed hearing about your journey as an author, praying that you have continued success, keep showing up in your journey as an author and touching the people that God has called you to touch. There's great
Yes.
things in store for you. And
Thank you.
always, listeners, please make sure that you like, subscribe, share, and leave a comment, right? I am asking you to leave a comment at the end of the podcast episode. Let us know something that you enjoyed hearing after watching it. And then make sure that you do go and follow Saniyah, I'm sorry, on social media and order her books, right? She has a new devotional, 365-day devotional, right? We are at the new year, right? What
Right.
better time to
Yeah.
start a 365-day devotional than when a new year has started. Until next time, take care.